Hi guys, Robbie46 here. Now today we're going to do something slightly different. Whilst the race is happening in the background of the video, I'm going to be running through the results of the Valencia test, which the MotoGP guys just had. They had a 2-day winter test at Valencia. We're going to focus more on day 2 rather than day 1. We will briefly talk about day 1, but going to stick mainly to day 2 because that is where pretty much most of the riders went quicker on day 2 than they did on day 1. Also, it's worth pointing out this is of course testing, so the results you can kind of take with a pinch of salt, but usually obviously the fastest rider is always going to be towards the top end. So let's start off. Let's briefly talk about day 1. So day 1, Daniele Petrucci only done, I think it was 10 laps, because he did injure himself in the crash he had at Valencia on Sunday. So he managed 10 laps, but then he couldn't really do any more, so he did not go out on day 2. Alex Marquez, he obviously his first day of testing, he done 8 laps and then had a crash, so had to sit out quite a bit of the session and then went back out in the afternoon. He's actually he's testing the LCR Honda at the moment because you've got Stefan Bradl, who is basically on Lorenzo's, or what would be Lorenzo's bike at the moment. So he's doing a bit of testing. Bradl crashed the 2020 Honda, and also Marquez crashed the 2020 Honda as well, and had to pick up a few bits from the gravel trap. A few of them having a few crashes and that, but yeah, there's a few, nice surprises. Lecuona, I know that he done obviously the race, he done free practice and everything, but yeah, he's been going well. So is the other rookies. But we will go to session 2 on day 2, and I will run through who is where. So day 1 was led by Quartararo. He finished quickest. But day 2 ended with Vinales quickest on the Yamaha with a 1:29.849, the only person over the 2 days to do a 1:29. I know that Quartararo did a 1:29 during the weekend, but he did not do one during testing. Obviously, some riders will do time attacks, some don't necessarily. They just want to compare last year's bike and parts to next year's iteration of the bikes. So some just focus purely on testing the parts and seeing the improvements in that. But yeah, Maverick Vinales finished the second day on top. Quartararo, he finished in second place with a 1:30.013. So Yamaha were trying out some new aerodynamic fairing on the front, new frame. Quartararo, he finally got to test out the carbon swing arm, but Quartararo didn't actually have too much to test. It was mainly just carrying on with the bike he was on. But yeah, he did get to test out the carbon swing arm. He did say that it had more negatives than positives, so he didn't really like it too much. But yeah, Yamaha trying a few different things with the fairing and stuff. Yeah, so it was actually a Yamaha 1-2-3 with Franco Morbidelli finishing in third place with a 1:30.114. Then you had Cal Crutchlow in fourth place for LCR Honda with a 1:30.316. And then he was followed by the 2 Suzukis, Joan Mir in 5th with a 1:30.427, and Alex Rins in 6th with a 1:30.503. Suzuki were testing a new engine, so they had a few different things to try, a few different setups. And then Marquez, he was 7th place for Repsol Honda with a 1:30.556. Again, he was testing parts for next year's bike. They kind of had to do a bit of a hybrid on the second day because Mark destroyed the 2020 bike the day before, so they only had some parts to kind of test out on last year's current bike. So yeah, he finished in 7th place. He was also obviously showing his brother around. He followed Alex for a little bit and then went past and let Alex follow him for a little bit, try and obviously get him used to like the different lines and stuff, and getting used to the behaviour of the Honda and how it likes to be ridden. So he was focusing quite a bit on his brother. 8th place was the first of the KTMs with Pol Espargaro. He was in 8th with a 1:30.685. Now KTM had a new frame to test, and it seemed like that was quite a good positive. So Pol was pretty happy with that. And again, he was showing his new rookie teammate around, Brad Binder, let him follow him for a few laps just to obviously give him a bit of a tow around to try and teach him a thing or two. 9th place was Valentino Rossi. He done a 1:30.781. Jack Miller, the first of the Ducatis, in 10th place with a 1:30.854. And then you had Andrea Dovizioso in 11th with a 1:30.143. Ducati trying out quite a few different things. Tito Rabat, he was 12th with a 1:31.258. Now it is worth saying that Avintia are officially a satellite team now for Ducati. Before they were just like an independent team, and you know their bikes were always the oldest on the grid. But they're both their bikes and riders are going to be the 2019 Ducatis. So the 2019 Ducatis, that is going to be the oldest Ducati on the grid. Also, Ducati are actually going to give them a bit more support because they are trying to convince Johann Zarco to ride for Avintia next year. But we're waiting to hear confirmation of what Zarco is going to do. You know, he would have to backpedal quite quickly after what he said about Avintia. But he had a meeting with the Ducati bosses, and they were obviously saying to him that they are going to support Avintia more than they have done in the past, and that obviously is going to be 2019 Ducati that they're going to be running. So Rabat was 12th, 1:31.258. Michele Pirro, Ducati's test rider, 13th for 1:31.424. Danny Pedrosa, the KTM's test rider, he was 14th for 1:31.470. Good to see Danny back out on track. Ika Lecuona in 15th. He did a 1:31.515. Now, like I said, Lecuona did do the race on Sunday. He did crash out. But he did go about it a really, really impressive way. He was really quick. Well, in comparison to his then temporary teammate, Hafiz Syrin, he was like really close to him, and then in a few sessions he was in front of him. So Lecuona, he's been impressing me from what he's doing, and obviously a bit of experience from the race, and that is put him in 15th place. So yeah, it is good going for him at the moment. 16th place was Alicia Spargaro with a 1:31.526. Aprilia, apparently both Espargaro and Iannone are disappointed with the lack of things to test for the Aprilia. Not got a huge amount. The new bike is not ready apparently. Yeah, so frustrating for them. 17th place was Carol Abraham with a 1:31.597. Stefan Bradl in 18th place, Repsol Honda's test rider, 1:31.657. Andrea Iannone was 19th after his Aprilia caught fire. He did a 1:31.800. Alex Marquez in 20th place. He did a 1:32.235. He was actually last on day one, but he has improved on day two. So he is kind of, you know, he's learning, of course. It's his first proper session testing the bike. I know that obviously when he won the Moto3 world title, he did get the reward of riding the Repsol Honda, but that was obviously back then. The Honda's completely different to what it was, and he wasn't really, you know, pushing too much. But on the Honda, I did notice, I did watch him for a little bit. He does have a very similar MotoGP style to his bigger brother Mark. Because in Moto2, I did see that their styles were different, but up in the big class, it does look like Alex has kind of adopted a very, very similar style to Mark. 21st place was Bradley Smith, Aprilia's test rider, 132.249. On both days, Bradley was the last person out on track. 22nd was Brad Binder, is obviously a rookie for Red Bull KTM, 132.367, which isn't too bad. Obviously, we know the KTMs are not the best of bikes at the moment, but they are improving it. So, yeah, good going. Mika Kallio, he didn't actually do either of the days testing, and like I said previously, Danilo Petrucci, he'd injured himself in the race on the Sunday, so he done 10 laps on the first day, but he didn't do day 2. He did get to test Ducati's new chassis, but he said he literally done 3 laps on it, so he doesn't know whether it was better or not. But he said he did get to do a quicker lap time, so that kind of points to, you know, it being a better chassis. It's meant to help a bit more with mid-corner where the Ducati struggles. So yeah, that is the rundown for day 2 of the test. They go to Jerez very soon. I think it's beginning of next week they go to Jerez. So they'll be doing some testing again next week. And you know, that's going to be quite an important test before Christmas. So I will obviously keep you guys up to speed with that next week as and when it happens. But anyway, guys, that is it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave this video a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel for more content. And I shall see you guys in the next video. See you.